we go, here we go. Hello. Hello, Drain. How you doing?
Hello, Mod Osborne.
Hello.
You. How are you?
Oh, you
doing?
know me. This is good. This is a good start. How was Barber Salt? Did you win?
Yes, we went to wave 9 collecting bonus XP because I heard Vic, the trader, is returning.
I see. So you're prepping. Gotcha.
Yes.
Cool. Well, sorry to interrupt it, but hopefully I'll make it worthwhile. Yeah. So first of all, kind of congratulations on getting Slayer Belt. Well, pretty much to the top of Rune Labs and then voted in. So yeah, we're going to start work on it in the next kind of few days. So it's really timely. You've kind of got in touch with this exactly the right time because we're just writing the design document now. So I've got some questions, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. You seemed quite opinionated on the Rune Labs thing, which is good. I mean, you had a lot of kind of opinions of what it should be like, and so I wanted to go through them.
Yeah. So a lot of my thread. I already posted the thread in June or April last year about it, and everything everyone posted, I read everything and thought about it, and so it changed my design a little. In time,
Well, it's definitely getting done, if that helps. It's definitely happening. You kind of preempted. You did it before Rune Labs, didn't you? The idea came about before Rune Labs.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, first of all, I had a question about usability. So, how you use it. I was quite interested in whether or not you saw it as a second tool belt or on the existing tool belt. So, I mean, we've got a number of options as designers. We're sitting there and thinking, do we have another button by the tool belt button for this to view it? Do we have this as a sub button on the tool belt itself, or do we implement it completely differently?
That's up to you. My original idea was actually, like you said, on the tool belt there's the general, the fishing, the farming, the different tabs, and it could be the fifth or just the next one.
So you're imagining it tabbed from that same tool belt, which is good because that's where we're thinking. If that helps.
Yes, but I don't know if you've read the entire everything I wrote on my thread, because it's quite different to how the other belts work.
Yeah.
So that might be like a reason to make it different, but then it's.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to try to keep it kind of consistent with the existing belts. I think so. You're right, it is a bit more complex. The crushing items, in particular, make it more difficult to make. I will be honest with you, but we're going to try to do it.
Well, if I can, the reason I put them on there is because people like to complete the game in a way, if I can put it.
Yeah.
By saying, yes, the Bone Crusher is really useful, so I bring it. The herbicide is useful, so I bring it. The seedicide is useful, so I bring it. They really spend game time collecting those points in the cabbage versus gorilla minigame, for example.
Yeah.
And then when they struggle with inventory space to actually use the item, because...
And you're not forgetting it. I mean, there's nothing worse than getting to your Slayer mob and you've forgotten your Bone Crush or whatever, and do you go back, etc.
Yes.
To give you a bit of insight, like when we first cancelled it, didn't we? That element of the pitch, we said we weren't going to do those crushing items. The reasons why were we thought that kind of... The initial thought was that this was a Slayer belt. These aren't exactly Slayer items. I mean, they're just as useful on PVM or and other things like that. So that's why we initially removed it, and also because it was so costly and so hard to do, because it's basically an interface with some of them.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think we've got a way of doing it, so we are going to add them. So I just wanted to let you know that is going to happen. You talked about kind of consumable items, things like rock salt. And obviously consumable items haven't really been on a tool belt before.
Yes, at first I thought we let players add 500 of them, and then give them a limited amount of charges per day.
Yeah.
But then another player suggested something different. He said, why not make a completely new item, obtained much harder, much more costly, and then allow players to add that new item to the belt?
Yep.
For example, the salt bag.
Yeah.
There is the normal bag which you purchase from the Slayer Master. And then you have a new item, which is hard to obtain.
Yep.
Not everyone will have this. And this has infinite charges. I called it the bottomless salt bag.
Yep.
And, for example, there are multiple options here. You could allow a Slayer Master to sell this for Slayer points or co-op points. or you could let the monster drop it.
Yeah.
And I personally, if I can state my opinion here,
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Would prefer the monster you use it at to drop this item. Much similar like how Kurosk and Turoth drop the leaf-bladed blade sword, because the blade is used for them and dropped by them. So if people do the task, they get the reward of getting the better weapon to kill them.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
good.
If you choose to have it be dropped by the monster, then we still have the option of, do we let players trade this with other players?
Yeah.
If we allow players to trade this, I would make the item rare, because then if starter slayers start doing Slayer, they might get this rare item, and higher level slayers will decide not to kill the weak monsters, but still want the item. That way the money from the rich players flows back to the newer players. For example, that's...
Yeah. So So we're of the opinion at the moment, having listened to that as well, I mean, I think that a kind of permanent version of the item that is gated in some way, that is harder to get in some way, is the way to go. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah. I have one concern that we're going to try to overcome, because the Slayer Belt is often most useful to lower levels, because, you know, they're going off to... you know, these consumable items are actually for lower level creatures generally, you know, your desert lizards and things like that. Yes. To make it a rare item, I've already, you know, forgotten my rock salt several times or what have you before I get that rare item. So it almost feels like counterintuitive. I'm getting it as a rare item when really I wanted it commonly, because that's, you know, I'm commonly fighting these things. So we might have to come up with something. It might be some kind of mix of the two. But I did like that. It's been a while since you submitted the idea. Yes. Are there any additional items that you thought of in that time to go on the Slayer Belt? Or any changes to the design?
No major design changes, but people have suggested other items like the neem oil, which I forgot about.
Neem oil.
Yeah. In a way, because it works differently than purchasing the bottomless salt.
Yeah.
You purchase the salt from the Slayer Master, and then you have the charges you bought. But neem oil works differently, as you have to fill the jug yourself. So I thought, to obtain the infinite version of that jug, I thought, fill it completely. I think that's 2,000 charges or 1,000 charges.
Gotcha, okay.
And then add a herb to it, for example, Torstal or Felstal.
That's
a herb
nice.
Or for example, a herb that's not commonly used.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like a Herbler thing, where you need a Herbler requirement level to actually make the infinite version.
That's really nice. It reminds me of the bowl in Tears of Guthix. You know, the leveled up bowl. You interact with it more to get. Yeah, that's really nice. That might be an approach we can use for other consumable items. That if you do enough of the Slayer task, then you will get something. So maybe it's not a rarity